our today's outline is creating a simple column chart using HTML5 canvases. So let us understand what a column chart is and how a column chart looks like. So what is a column chart? So a column chart is a graph or a chart that represents a categorical data within the rectangular bars. So the figure depicts here is a vertical bar chart or a column chart, and here the rectangular bars represents the categorical data. So the column chart is also known as a vertical bar chart. Now let us implement this particular column chart using HTML5 Canvas. Let us work with basic canvas chart with the help of canvas tag. So first we have created a file which is named as basic canvas chart.html. Inside this, first we have written doctype.html, then we have returned HTML tag, then we have taken head. Inside the head we have given the title of our project, that is basic canvas chart. We have added an external CSS file. So in order to add an external CSS file, we have to use a tag that is named as link. Then we have to specify an attribute which is named as rel, which stands for relation, and the type will be style sheet. Why style sheet? Because we are using a CSS file and we have to specify the path of our CSS file. So for that we have to use attribute, that is href, and here we have to mention our file name with extension, that is basic canvas chart.css. Now what this CSS file is containing we will cover later. Then I have ended the head tag. Then we have started the body tag. Next we have taken is a header of type h1 and we have given its name as basic canvas chart. Now in order to create a canvas we have to take a canvas element. So for that we have taken canvas element, we have specified its ID, that is chart. We have specified the width of our canvas, that is 700 pixel, and we have specified the height of our canvas, that is 500 pixel, and we have ended our canvas tag. Now in order to draw a chart we have to use CSS file as well as we have to use JS file. So first we are adding our JS file. To add a JS file, again we have to use a script tag. Here we have specified type equal to text slash javascript, and we have specified the source as basic canvas chart.cs. Then we have ended our script tag, we have ended the body, and we have ended our HTML. Now let us first observe basic canvas chart CSS file. So the extension of this file is basic canvas chart.css. Now if you observe over here, we have taken a CSS file and it is setting the width and height of your canvas with the help of external style sheet. So we have specified the width as 700 pixel and height as 500 pixel. Now let us understand the JS file which is containing our data. So the extension of this particular file is .js, which indicates this is your JavaScript file, and the name of this file is basic canvas chart. Now whenever we want to create a chart, so let us consider we want to create a column chart. So to create a column chart, first we need to specify the data. So for that we are creating an array, and inside this we are specifying the name value pairs for our data. So for that again we are creating a variable. To declare a variable we have to use where as a keyword. Then we have to specify the variable name equal to its value. So I am creating an array. So here we have specified the data points. So here we are having 4 different categories, that is shoes, hats, coats and scraves, and it is containing 2 values for each of the categories. So one is for quarter 1 and another is for quarter 2. So for the shoes there are 2 values, that is 40 and 25. Similarly for hats 50 and 40, for coats 35 and 45, and for scraves 20 and 15 respectively. Now in order to give the colors to our column chart we have to specify the colors. So to specify the colors, JavaScript allows us to encode it in a double quote and we can specify the RGB color values for our data. So again, to specify the color, I am using a variable which is named as palette, and I am specifying string encoded RGB values for our color. So we are specifying 3 different colors. So one of the color value is this, second is this, and third is this. Now we want to create a chart. So for that we are creating a variable which is named as chart element, and we are creating a function. So inside this function we are going to create our chart, and we are going to assign color to the chart. So we are creating a current reference of the chart, that is this dot underscore chart is chart, and this dot underscore color as our color. Now we need to validate our column series. So why we need to do this? Because it should be always checked that there is no null value present, there is not any different value other than numbers when we are plotting our data. So for that we are using a function which is named as validate function. So this function will check the values of your data. So let us check the value. So if the values are null, or if the values are not a number, then we will return false, else we will return true. So this is the use of this validate function. So first we are going to check whether all the data are null, or whether the minimum value of the specified chart is not a number, or the maximum value of the chart is not a number. In that case we will return false, else we will return true. Next we are going to see is chart prototype. So inside this prototyping we are defining the various methods. So one of the function is update. So with the help, what we are doing is we are creating different methods, and we will invoke it whenever it is necessary. So the first we are creating is an update function, and inside this, what this function will do, it will update your chart accordingly the requirements that you have specified. Next we have created a function of type color. So what it will do, it will set the color of the specified value which you have specified, and from this function it will invoke the update. Why it will invoke update? Because we want to modify the changes that we have stated, and after that it will return this. So what does this means? It will return you the current chart object. Next we have created is a chart. So this function will return you the current chart. Now next thing is we need to know what is a chart series. So a chart series is basically an element of a chart that is bounded to a particular data set. And what do you mean by series? So series here refers to a particular element. Now we will see a code which will define a constructor for the column series class. So here for a column series class we are going to define a constructor and inherit the chart element class. So this is a chart element class, and we want to inherit inside our class which is named as column series. So for that again we are creating a var which is named as column series, and inside this function we are passing our chart. And to invoke this column series class we are using a method which is named as class. This means it refers to your current object and the chart, so that will get executed. Now we are using an attribute which is named as value accessor. So by default we are setting it to null, and based on the requirement we can change its value. Now what is the use of this value accessor? So the particular use of this value accessor, it is used to extract the values from the data item. So whenever you are having the data item and we want to extract the value from that, at that time we have to use the function that is value accessor, and we are again specifying the color. Now next you can see over here is column series dot prototype. So here what we are doing, inside this we are using a validate function, and we will check and we will render different types of data. So when it will render, so this validate function, it should return always true. when it should return true when we are having a data which we want to render, else it should return false. Now when will it return false? So when the value of the value accessor will be null. So whenever it will be null, it should return false, else it should invoke the function which is named as validate, and we want to call this function. So we have invoke a method which is named as call, and we will pass our current object, that is this. Next we have declared a function that is render. Then it will check whether we want to validate our data or not, and it will return accordingly. Next here we have declared some of the variables, that is current width, current height, current x value, current y value, current color, and the index variable, that is I. Now we are again creating a variable which is named as data. So it will hold your current data that is available. So what is the current data you are having? So your current data is this. So your variable will be holding this particular data. So let us understand further how it works. Now we have created a frame. So here you can see F, it is a frame. What it holds? So it will hold always the calculated values, the values that we want to render into our columns inside our chart. So by default we are first initializing it as null. So these are the current x position, y position, width. Here we have created an empty array, and we are specifying the current color as this dot color. So whatever color you have first set, it will be working as your current color, and we are setting the index value with the help of this dot underscore index. Now next thing we are seeing is series width, and we are invoking different functions. So the first is series width. So what is the use of this function? So you want to know how much wide your current series is. So at that particular time we have to use the function that is series width. Now if I want to take half width, so but obvious we have to divide it by 2, so we will get half width. If I want to get offset, so from the index value I can easily get the index of that particular offset. So for that we have to write this dot underscore chart dot offset, and inside this we have to pass index. Then we have created some of the variables, that is value, scaled value of x, scaled value of y. We will see later what is scaled x and what is scaled y. Now first we need to write a loop. Why we need to write this loop? So we want to currently determine the position, what will be the width and what will be the height of our column. So for that we have to use our loop. So we are writing a for loop, that is for I is equal to 0, I less than data dot length. Now try to understand, this is an attribute. This is not a function, this is the attribute of our data. Why? Because data is our array and we are storing it inside a variable that is data. So here we don't have to write parenthesis, it will become its attribute. Now first we have written that is value accessor, and it will take the value of data from 0th index. Now we need the current value of y coordinate, which will be plotted inside our area, and we need to store it inside the variable scaled y. So for that we are again having a function inside a chart that is scale y, and we need to directly pass that value, so it will scale this particular value. Now similarly we want to scale the value of x, so for that we need the index value, and it is stored inside a variable that is I. So again we have to write this dot underscore chart dot scaled x, and it will be taking your index, and we will be storing it inside a variable which is scaled x. Now we want to put that particular values, so for that we have to write a push function. So inside this we want to fit x position, so we have to pass scaled x variable plus offset minus half width, so it will determine your x position. Now similarly we want to satisfy, or we want to specify the y position, and for that again we have to use push function. Now we have taken an inbuilt class of math, and inside this we are trying to use mean function. So mean function we have to specify two things, that is the scaled value of y and the 0th position. Now if you observe, we have specified x position and y position. Now we need to specify the width and height of our bars. So for that, again we are having a push function. So we have, if you recall, we have declared here a variable that is named as width. So in order to access it, we require a frame object. So f.width.push. So we are setting the width same for all the columns. Next we are setting height. So again, in order to access it, we require the object that is f.heights.push. And if you see here, we have taken absolute value. Why we have taken absolute value? Because we want to put column positive only. Whether our column goes upward direction or it goes downward direction from 0th position. So for example, if our scaled value is 0 and scaled by value is 0 and our 0th position is 1, so it will become -1. So in order to make it always positive, we have used a function that is absolute. Now we need to fill all this data. So again, for that we have to write a for loop. So here you can see we have written a for loop. So we have excluded, or we have taken the width up to its length. Then we are setting current x value, current y value, current width and current height. And we are also setting the color. So what it will do, it will fill the color of the particular column based on your current color. And if you observe a column chart, there are rectangle bars. So in order to fill that rectangular bars, we require 4 different values. That is the current value of x, y, width and height. So that's why we have to write this particular for loop in order to extract the current value of x, y, width and height respectively. Now what we are doing, we are simply accessing the value of accessors. So here we have done nothing, we are invoking the different functions. So from this we are accessing the values and calling the update function. So update function we have declared earlier. Now we are going to create a variable of type chart and assigning some of the values. So we want to create this chart inside the target ID. So we have given the ID as target. So we have to write document dot get element by ID, and we have specified the target ID as our ID. Now we require context, as we know whenever we want to plot a chart. So for that we have taken these dot canvas dot get context, and here we have specified 2D. Now if I want to specify the font for this particular thing, so we are having an attribute which is named as font with the help of context object, and we are specifying the size as well as its type. So we want the size as 14 points and the font will be Vardhana. By default our data will be null. Next we are setting the total width of our chart, we are setting total height, we are specifying the left margin of our plot area, we are specifying the right margin of our plot area, we are specifying top margin, we are specifying the bottom margin. We are also by default setting the minimum value as none and maximum value as none. And we are creating a series, by default it is empty. Now we are creating an attribute gap. So what is this gap? So this will be the spacing between your x-axis, that after plotting an x-axis it will leave a 0.25 amount of space. Now in order to calculate the dimensions, we are invoking a function that is named as calculate plot area. Now you can see again here a function. So this function will create a new column. So once we have created a column, we need to add another column. So in order to create a column, we have again declared a function. So this function will create a new column series and it will fill the data to our present data and it will display us. So for that we have created a function. Inside this we have created a new column series and we have fitted the data of our series using push. We have set the index and we have invoked the update method and we have returned our column series object. Now we are setting the minimum value. So for that again we have specified a function. Then we have set the maximum value and we have created a function for setting the maximum value. Next you can see over here is the calculate float area. So what this actually function is doing, so this function determines the rectangle for plotting the content with respect to our chart. So whatever the values that we have assigned, depending upon the values of left margin, top margin, depending upon your width and height, we are specifying our total carpet area for our chart. So for that we have created 4 different variables for left margin, top margin, for height and for width. We also have specified the different values for left plotting, right plotting, height, width, etc. Now in order to display our chart, we have created a function with the help of render. So here you can see, first we are using the current context. First we are clearing the rectangle because the column chart consists of the rectangle. Then we are setting a new color and again we are filling our rectangle and we are filling it with the particular series data. Next we are invoking the update function and then we are specifying the data. Again, depending upon the value, we are scaling the value of y, we are setting the offset to which it will satisfy the values. We are also scaling the value of x. We are also setting the series width with the help of this function, and at the last we are creating the chart object. So we are creating the chart object. We are specifying the initial value of mean as 0, maximum value as 60, and the data that is stored inside the variable, that is data. Then we are creating a column. So inside this we are specifying the color from our palette object. Then we are invoking the value accessor function. Inside this we are passing the item. As we know, there are 2 different items. So first is for quarter 1 and second is for quarter 2. So this particular column will return the data for quarter 1. Similarly, for quarter 2 we have also taken the color value as index value 1. Now let us observe how this particular canvas chart is created. So in order to observe this, we have to run our HTML file. So simply right click over it and open in browser. So this is your particular basic canvas chart. So this is a bit lengthy process of creating a column chart. So nowadays there are different APIs that we can use directly to simplify our plotting. So that we will cover later on. But this is the basic overview how you can manually create your canvas column chart with the help of a canvas tag. So this gray portion, it indicates your canvas, and these are the different data points for different values. So this is for quarter 1, quarter 2, for 4 different items respectively. So this is all about your basic canvas chart. Thank you.